Jude Law is great at playing beautiful idiots. In The Nest, he plays Rory, an English businessman who relocates his new American family back to the UK. He says it's to close a really promising business deal, but it becomes obvious that he's only really doing it in order to show off in front of his old colleagues. He projects the image of a successful businessman, buying houses and horses and repeating things that sound clever, but really, he's broke and is solely relying on his big deal coming through. As long as he's perceived as rich, that's all that matters. Of course, this is a drama, so his deal was destined to fail. Like Icarus before him, he flew too close to the sun. His victory lap is hindered by his own lack of any real talent and a family that really don't want to be there. His big plan is to sell his former mentor's company and get rich from the sale. I don't know how business works, but he will somehow benefit from this. And yet, despite his motives coming at the expense of his family's happiness, he isn't really hateable. Like how the leads in Succession are detestable people, but they're so pathetic, you kind of feel sorry for them. Rory grew up with very little on a council estate, and I think the fear he has of returning to where he came from motivates him to pursue something that's actively destroying his life. He's running away from his childhood and chasing the high of being rich and the status and power that affords him. But the real treasure is family. His family are deeply unhappy in their new home, removed from their own lives and unable to acclimatise to their cold surroundings. Even if Rory succeeds, he'd have lost the family he's built. Rory has a very comfortable life in America, but he's willing to ruin it for a higher number in his bank account. I don't think I was aware of Carrie Coon's talent until watching her performance in this. She's been in things I've seen before. Turns out she's Proxima Midnight in Infinity War and Endgame, and after seeing her work here, I'm instantly a fan. All the characters are well written. There's a really nice moment where the daughter, Sam, is having an argument with her mum, but when she is told that her mum's horse was shot earlier that day, she immediately runs after her. It's a small detail, but it shows the characters' priorities and relationship with one another. The film is about change, for better or for worse. And I think this is perfectly illustrated by Rory's mum not recognising him. Not to say he looks super different, but she doesn't recognise the man he is now. She didn't even know about his new family and her grandchildren. The cinematography is really beautiful. Everything comes together to create an atmosphere that's at once cosy and eerie. The lighting not only complements the scenes, I mean, look at this, it's so pretty, but it's also used with intent. Like the scene in the cab where the driver's face is always obscured, making the scene feel more like a spiritual intervention than a normal conversation. I would be a gosh darn fool not to mention the pacing. The writing and editing go hand in hand and skip down the yellow brick road together.
I mean, it's symbiotic. No?
This was written by Sean Durkin, who also directs, who previously made Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene, and his new film, The Iron Claw, comes out next month. And I'm really impressed by his work here, as if he needs my approval. The Nest keeps at a steady pace while allowing the film to breathe, and lets the audience appreciate the brilliant work done by the production. You've probably heard of the idea in writing that's enter late, leave early, and Sean Durkin gave us some really great uses of that. Not to say every scene starts mid-sentence, but it's used appropriately. Example, instead of showing Alison getting a job, they just cut to her finishing her shift. We get as much information as we need, and cutting into the scene tells us that she's keeping it a secret from her family. So much so that the audience doesn't even know about it. So much of this film works, and I love seeing a movie that gives me something to chew on.